And I'll cheat. I'll cheat if I have to and give you the answer if you want to beg off answering this. But what is the thing about hell that makes it the worst of all? What is it about hell that makes it as bad as it can be for the sinner?
Larry, I think the worst thing to me would be it doesn't end.
It doesn't end, but see, that is conditional on something else. Just like the fire of hell is conditional on something else. And I'll go ahead and cheat here and give you the answer completely, but that's one good point about it. The reason it doesn't end, and the reason the fires are so hot and the punishment so grave, is that it's all conditional on the one who's making it happen, which is God himself. God is like the burning furnace. He's the one that stokes the fires. He's the one that gives every man according to his deeds. What makes hell so terrible is that God himself is the one that's accomplishing its punishment on the damned. That's the worst thing about hell for the sinner.
And I think another thing there too that goes into making it that bad is it's also your responsibility that you are there. It's not like something is being given to you that you don't deserve, but it's something that you're responsible for your being there, and you know and have admitted without any argumentation that you are responsible and you're the complete culprit. I've been into prison sometime, Larry, to visit prisoners, and very seldom will you come across a prisoner who will say, I'm here due solely to my responsibility in acting in the way that I did, in doing the crime that I did. Generally, they will want to say, well, I was, misled, I was simply doing something that I wasn't aware of the circumstances, and it was not, in other words, they're going to try to soften it some way, their particular participation in the crime. It's a little bit unjust that I'm here, is what they're actually saying. But whereas in hell, God is going to show men the total record of their lives and in effect have them the sign on the line, yes, this is a true and accurate account of my crimes and what I deserve for my sins.
That's right. And when we look at just a biblical text here, I'm looking at, I just turned it while you were talking just there, it just came to mind. In 2 Kings chapter 9, last few verses here, God's prophesying against Jezebel. We've all heard of Jezebel, famous name. What he says here is, wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Lord which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel. And as you get through here, you're looking at GQ, who God ordained to go and destroy Jezebel and the whole house of Ahab. And he does a great job. He kills all the prophets of Baal, and he destroys all the family members and kills them all to the last man. And then we find out, God commends him for doing for bringing all his wrath upon the house of Ahab and Jezebel. And in fact, look in chapter 10, verse 30, it says, and the Lord said unto GQ, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart, thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. Now here's a man, if you read 2 Kings chapter 9, 2 Kings chapter 10, you find that here's GQ killing all these people, wiping them out to the last man, and God commends him for doing this. Right there in verse 30, all that was in mine, that is right in mine eyes. I mean, this is God himself talking, bringing all this utter destruction. Now this shows you a little bit about the nature of God. Here's some evil, wicked people, and God had them totally annihilated without mercy. And then he commends them and says, well, you'll have 4 generations will sit on the throne of Israel because you've done what I wanted done. And we know that King Saul got in trouble when he didn't kill, the king and wipe out every last possession of some of these Canaanites and other folks he was supposed to overthrow. We find God bringing judgment on people. And we find this throughout the Old Testament and then into the New, where God himself sends his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to die a death like that. And I've heard so many people say, well, God's so loving, he wouldn't let his own Son die a death like that, let his own Son be beaten and tortured where you couldn't even recognize him, hit with whips, crucified on a cross. God wouldn't let that be done to his own Son. Well, that's inhumane. That's not right. That's a bloody pagan religion. But when we look into Scripture, we find that God did let his only begotten Son die a death like that to save us from the kind of wrath we've been talking about all this time. Any comments, Bob?
It seems that every day and age, all through history, we're no exception, has tried to redefine God in their own image, so to speak. They want to mold, they want to trim God and shape him up in the way that they want him, which meets with their approval, with their own emotional, psychological, and philosophical ideas. And they make merchandise of other people in doing this. We have people who will start churches, they will start religions, they will write books, they will have various and sundry ways and means of making money off of people who want to buy these theories and fall for the bait, so to speak. I recall just in recent times I was hearing some organization out in the West that they're not going to die. They have come up with their own approach on how they're going to keep themselves alive, and they're going to live forever and forever. And there are people buying their books and videos or whatever means they have of marketing this.
I saw that on a TV thing. I think it was 60 Minutes about a church down in Florida where they said you join this church and you'll live forever. But if anyone died of old age or just died, then they said, well, they lost their faith.
Yeah, they're making merchandise of people. In other words, there are people who are willing to give them money for this, just like people will go lay down money to have their fortunes read, or they'll lay down money to buy a lottery ticket, or they'll lay down money betting on a horse. But
well, it reminds me of what God says in Isaiah 28. He says that men seek refuge in lies and falsehoods.
Right, and why spend ye money for that which is not bread? But anyway, the point I was making is this, that dissatisfaction with the Bible and what it teaches. In every generation, we have people that will come along and they will, in effect, say to you, hey, I'm going to show you something different than the Bible, that's better than the Bible, and it'll make the Bible a thing of the past, what it's got to say. I'm going to give you a new twist on this. I'm going to give you the real meaning here now. Here comes the truth.
If you like our YouTube channel, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button and then by also clicking the bell above to get an automatic update whenever we produce another YouTube video for our See Answers TV channel. Please share our videos with your friends and relatives. May God bless you. Only one life will soon be passed. Only what is done for Christ will last. To see the full-length video, please select by tapping on the first screen to the right. To see the entire playlist where this particular video is found, select by tapping on a touchscreen on a cell phone or by clicking on a regular computer. The second screen to the right.